Hi, these are your Jesse Mack One Word or Less comic reviews for January 2019. Doing a monthly deal. Ruthless. Agitated. Manifold. Menacing. Exquisite. Gonzo. Brightness. Effortless. Lush.
One Word or Less comic reviews. Pow!
Okay. Now, because I'm only doing these once a month, I'm going to say a tiny little bit about each of the 10 favorite comics of the month, which is what these were, by the way. Those are my 10 favorite comics of January. Should have mentioned that up front. I'm getting back into the deal. Okay. So yeah, Kaijumax, always quite enjoyable, but this issue did a very nice job of just... man, this is why I don't talk with more than one word, because it's always bad. And out of practice, whoa. It dealt with some very serious emotion, and some big poop happened, and it was real good. And then things got weirdly, kind of disjointedly emotional at the end, which I'm hoping the next issue digs deeper into that. United States of Murder, Inc. hasn't been my favorite of these Jinx World books, but this issue in particular was just a tension factory, and it was a real good time, and I really enjoyed it. League Volume 4 Tempest is just marvelous to look at. I enjoyed how many different storytelling styles they went through in this book. Every couple pages was like a different type of comic strip or comic book from the past, and it's just a real good time. And like I never get over the gimmick of having the blazing world, this magical like fairyland, be in actual 3D. Immortal Hulk is freaking crazy. I'm shocked by how much it's one of those superhero books, and we haven't had one of these in a long time. Not necessarily, but I feel like they were more common a few years ago, where it feels like a quote-unquote real story, but instead of it just being some guy, it's the Hulk, and you get to deal with all of these issues that somebody like Bruce Banner would have, and it is a mess, and it is a real enjoyable mess. And just the amount of strength and evil in this version of the Hulk is something to behold. I think I said it in my my year-end review, but Pearl is just gorgeous. I've always liked Michael Gaydos. I loved him in Alias. I've followed what he's done since then. But he has... I didn't know he was this good. I knew he was good. I didn't know he was this good. This book is beautiful. And actually, of the Jinx World titles, it's the story I'm enjoying the most as well, overall. This was a very psychedelic and weird issue of Deadly Class. I think I was excited to see another issue of this because the show has been very good, and it's doing that funky thing where I'm connecting to the characters on the show in a different way than I connected to the characters in the book. So now I'm seeing those characters in flashbacks in this book, and I feel for them more than I did actually reading through it the first time. So if I get a chance to reread this whole series, I think it's going to pop differently now that they've been fleshed out on the television show. But yeah, this was just like wacky and just another just gorgeous book. Like I don't give Wes Craig enough credit often for how pretty and how like just nutty and over the top stylistic Deadly Class can be sometimes. This was just a breath of fresh air, this issue of Scarlet. It just felt good to read. Scarlet has been sort of a story of triumph wanting to happen and getting caught, and this is the issue where we realize that they won before the series began, and that is a heck of a thing. I'm spoiling things, but that's okay. It's not going to ruin the story for you. It's just wonderful. Even knowing that, I think it's wonderful to see the characters learn that. Well, character. Scarlet's the only one who learns. Anyway, Wicked and the Divine tends to always be very good, and now it is making its last push, and it is a heck of a thing, and there's some like rebirth and redemption in this issue, and I love when a comic book does peaks and valleys well, and you ride the valley for a while. You ride in the issues where they're just kind of building things up and they're doing smaller character moments, and then it's like, all right, time to go down that hill, and we are just exploding, and there's going to be action and drama nonstop once it gets going. And like Kieran Gillen is, I think he is one of my favorite writers working right now. There's not many people who I would put above him as far as being excited. Like if I see that he's on a project, I'm checking it out because that guy doesn't do me wrong very often. Criminal. This felt like going home in a real nice way. And that's the funny thing, because like Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips never really go away. They're always working on a project of some kind, and they always have a different feel, but it's always sort of grounded in the same voice, if you will. But something about Criminal, it just vibrates at a frequency that touches me. And this was a very nice opening salvo for what I'm hoping will be a very, very nice Criminal story. And honestly, if I can trust their track record, I think it will be. Then we get up to Die. Die has been very special so far for me. I am not an RPG guy, really. I've always enjoyed the idea of them, but being sort of meek and shy as a personality, it is difficult for me to put myself out there. And I understand that is part of the fun of role-playing, is that you can get lost in the character, but I haven't had that opportunity. But the world building in this is insane. This issue has so many great ideas that it almost like it is crazy how many good ideas this issue has. Kieran and who's doing the art in this? Hans? Stephanie Hans, that's right. They can't possibly keep up the pace, and honestly, it would probably be to the book's detriment if every issue did have as many concepts as this one did. Eventually, you've got to get past learning new things constantly, and you've got to get to a point where you can actually let the things you know play out and tell your story. But this is just amazing. Like the idea of one of the character archetypes being somebody who can manipulate emotions, and one of the other character archetypes being a grief knight that can become extremely powerful when they're extremely sad. And you have this one guy breaking his friend's heart, essentially, so that they can defeat an adversary. And it's just such a small, harsh thing that, and this book is full of them, and it has no signs that it's ever going to stop making great story. And it's honestly the essay that Kieran Gillen wrote in the back of this thing about the role-playing game that he is making concurrently with the book was as fascinating as the comic itself. And it's not meant to, I don't think it's meant to be comic back matter exactly. Like, you're not supposed to read that to get more out of the book per se, but it shades things so strongly that the comic I just read became much better once I read about what the writer had in mind when he was creating the different like player roles in the game. If you haven't read Die, it is about it's essentially like Jumanji / It / another thing where people get lost in a thing and then come back 20 years later. It's like, but RPGs, and it's real nice, and I'm having a good time. I ruined it at the end. I felt like I was doing on a good roll, and then I messed it up. Oh no, my audio failed too. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up then. I will see you near the start of March for my February reviews, and it's good to be back. I'll see you later.